What's up guys, it's Punchy, and today we have a brand new Deepwoken patch, and it's time to celebrate the second anniversary, so let's check it out. I'm so excited to show you what's up, and let's get right into it. Starting off, 2 years ago this week, Deepwoken released on Roblox, and for real, it's been a while. They made a public announcement saying, 2 years, here's to another year of flame buffs, win nerfs, and new shadow mantras, but I haven't really seen any win nerfs, but anyway, that might be for 2024. Regardless, for the next week, all purchases are 50% off, I think including the game, so happy birthday Deepwoken. Another public leak was shown, showing some new transforming statues or something for Conquest, and it seems like these sketches were made by the boy Natoons, so good work as always, but how will these work in the actual game mode? Leave your thoughts down below. To celebrate the holidays, Deepwoken has turned a little bit festive with some new Etris decoration from last year. We also have something very fun, as every single chest has been replaced with a huge Christmas present that has double the loot, so get farming. Moving forward, we have a new ice mantra, which is Ice Carve. So this 2-star option is a simple multi-hit backhand that cuts enemies and applies a lot of frost at the same time. It's alright, and can be modified to be pretty large, so check it out. With some new talents, we have a few support-oriented options that could switch up how the game is played, but we'll see. First off, the Narcissist talent, which works well for Charisma players and Playboy Cardi fans. Basically, charming an already charmed opponent overcharms you, weird right, but it grants a small buff. Overcharm on the user lets them apply charm on M1 and executes faster, so it seems alright if you want to maintain extra charm and constantly apply that with your charisma builds. Be careful though, because this cannot be used or obtained with the Tough Love talent, and you miss out on that damage multiplier. Moving on, the Spotter talent allows allies to see the health of marked rhythm targets after using this murmur, and it's very simple and grants more communication to support players. Another talent, Muffled Screams, I think is very useless, and you'll see why. So, you quieten the cries of help of those you execute, reducing their range and their slowdown talents. When gripping NPCs, they won't be able to call out to their homies to pull up and gank you. It's okay, but it does bypass some grip slowdown. I don't think I'll be running this ever, but it does counteract talents like Bodyguard Detail. Moving on, we finally have the Bastion Path Advanced talent, Not a Scratch. It simply says, you show no signs of damage, and as you can see, I look unharmed. This option fills a very specific niche, but it's good for composure at low HP. Another interesting hybrid talent, we have Voltaic Conductor. Although this might be sort of underwhelming, your Thundercall mantras deal 20% chip damage against enemies with Conductor rods. I still think that this Ironsing pull is weak, and this does balance it out a little bit. Another great change, you can now enter guild bases simply by pressing E. So finally this has happened because it sucked and you had to ram your head into the door 3 to 4 times without TPing, and we can finally enter our guild base without taking a while. Onto some balancing, I'll cover a few different things, but overall I think we had some well requested comment changes that were executed decently, and let's check it out. Starting off with some huge balance changes to the Ironsing attunement, like we know that the mantras are kind of weak but the talents are good, so we got a bunch of buffs as well as some nerfs to some broken mantras, and they're balanced. One of the first issues tackled was Rocket Lance windup being increased and hopefully a fix to its fling. Essentially, this option was the fastest and easiest mantra for Ironsing players to land, and it was generally hated by everybody else. Sending players into the stratosphere was annoying and dealt a lot of damage, but hopefully this windup increase and huge bug fix rounds off some of the issues. Another nerf came to Caltrops, a pretty spammy mantra that was essential for placing rods. So now, these Caltrops decay after being placed. I believe after 18 seconds they will disappear, and they can be destroyed by M1ing or pairing them on the ground. This already was a thing, but it should provide a more interesting way to counteract Caltrop zone control, and Ironsing players can take advantage of other people that waste their M1s or parries to destroy these traps. Needle Barrage was hit with a small nerf, with its damage dropping and its targeting range lowered. What this means, the range shouldn't be an issue in 1v1s, but before you could target players across mountains and it was so irritating in large scale ganks. The damage nerf, sure, it should be easy to hit and apply rods, but the damage, it shouldn't be crazy. On the other hand, Metal Gatling targeting got a buff because some players shouldn't be able to just walk out of this attack, and they were doing that. I hope this inspires players to use this mantra much more because it's a 3-star with a high investment and high ether cost, so I think it deserves to be pretty good. Another well-awaited change, Metal Eruption has slightly less windup and less end lag. On top of this, we can now pass through Metal Eruption, which we could not do before, which should prevent players getting stuck inside of, whatever this was, and generally having a hard time fighting because it's a surface. So again, you can no longer stand on top of Metal Eruption. Moving on, finally Metal Kick gets some love, and this is exactly what I want to see. Base Metal Kick, the slam down axe kick version, is now faster, allowing for smoother combos and more knockdown. Now the Spring Spark dropkick variant, which a lot of players do use, does a little bit more posture, and that's great for combos and setups. And that's about it. So far, I'm glad that all of these Ironsing adjustments happened, and it should allow for these mantras to be applicable in a variety of situations. Moving on to some general combat changes that are huge, this one you gotta look out for. Parry stun, the amount of time you cannot act after being parried, changes depending on your weapon and the weapon that stuns you. Essentially, if you have a medium weapon and you're parried by another medium weapon, the parry stun should be exactly the same, but if you're a medium weapon and you're parried by a heavy weapon, you will have a longer stun. This applies to all weapon classes differently, but it should allow light weapons to take more stun after being parried by anything heavier, and parry trades should be a bit more balanced. Moving on, we have a bunch of interesting talents that scale with the stat invested. Essential talents like Reinforced Armor, Collapsed Lung, All the Dead Gods, and much more lose effectiveness after using the shrine. The lower your stats, the lower the effectiveness, slightly balancing out how these talents operate. If you want full details, take a closer look at the patch notes if you want to see what was affected. Anyway, I didn't talk about everything in today's update, so please experiment these changes for yourself and check it out. As always, make sure to like and subscribe because we're almost at 70k subs. Thanks again, and it's time for presents.